Hi, this is Tara, and this is Storytelling Shorts with Tara Seren. Tonight we have a special guest coming in, and her name is Betsy Koos, and she's going to be sharing with us her map for change. She has been in the field for over 30 years and working with so many diverse populations, helping people to find inner resources to find their path home. And as we gather into the Zoom tonight, I am going to be playing this beautiful intro, a storytelling short into our settling in for the Zoom tonight and our special guest. Tonight's story is The Star's Gift. It's about lemon balm, one of my most favorite herbs and plants. And I will go ahead and begin the reading. Go ahead and sit down, settle in, get ready for our Zoom, and here we go. The Star's Gift. One sunny day, a young girl named Annie decided to make a flower bouquet for her sick mother. Slowly, she strolled through the countryside, picking many pretty flowers and wandering farther and farther from home. After a while, Annie became very tired. She sat down to rest in the warm sunshine, and before long she fell into a deep sleep. Suddenly, Annie woke at twilight. She jumped up to run home, but didn't even know where she was. In the growing dark, everything seemed strange and unusual. She tried finding her way home, but only became more confused and lost. Finally, hungry and worried, Annie sat down and cried. Soon stars twinkled through the darkness until they filled their night with glowing light. Now one special star gazed down on the sobbing girl and understood what had happened. The star knew that the girl could not find the path by herself at night, so it thought of a way to help her. Slowly, the star shone more and more brightly until it appeared as a brilliant full moon. Then it sprinkled stardust down on the lost girl and on her pathway home, creating a trail of silvery light and a beautiful lemony aroma. Annie stopped crying and watched the dazzling showers twinkle like millions of fireflies, and she followed the stardust path as if in a dream, never wanting it to end. When the first streaks of daylight appeared, Annie reached home. Suddenly the stardust trail faded, and in its place new plants bloomed, leaving a path of beautiful lemony fragrance. With wonder, Annie realized the star had left these plants as a gift to help her find her way home. She named these plants lemon balm because of their lemony smell and their soothing nature. Today, this wonderful herb is still around, acting as a balm to sadness and helping us feel happy whenever we drink a tea made from its leaves. And this story is by Leslie Tiara, and it comes from the kids' book, Kids' Herb Book with Chinese Medicine. And I read these stories because I want to share the relevance that they have, both in the healing and in the herbs, and also in the things that we conjure in and call into our lives. And as we step in tonight to introduce Betsy Koos, I want to share that there was a time that I went in looking deep, and there was these places that felt very confusing to me. And just like Annie in this journey on her way home, sometimes when we go into the darkness and go in deeper and try to find our way home, it can feel like a hall of mirrors or a bit like walking in the dark and not knowing where your landmarks are. And I was first introduced to Betsy on her land here in Cedar Edge, Colorado, on the Western Slope, as I came to find my business, which ended up being the North Star Pathways. And Kimberly Chenoweth was with me as well. Both Betsy and Kimberly, beautiful mentors to me. As I stood in Betsy's land and the land that she caretakes so diligently and with such love and care, and in the dome that I currently host my retreats in, um, I felt the North Star and the North Star grandmother, and I could hear her calling to me about how I would find my pathway home. And so tonight, Lemon Balm and Annie's story has so much relevance to me around what Betsy has to share, because this was almost 5 years ago that the North Star visited me and connected me with Betsy. And currently, I have moved over to Cedar Edge, and I am working here and in Denver. But I have had the privilege to begin to do some work around the parts of me that came up when my life changed and shifted, and towards my dreams and towards my growth. And the parts and pieces that felt they were in darkness. Betsy and I have been working to find my inner resources, my inner lemon balm, and my inner stars, to find that way home. And her practice with the map for change and core transformation has been instrumental in helping me shine light in places that felt confused and felt immature and felt like the patterns were just continuing, and I wasn't able to find the pathway home through those patterns. It felt like I was just keeping a loop going in my life and in my world. And I have only been working with Betsy for a little, like maybe a month or two, directly. And the transformation that has come out of these sessions is just phenomenal. I have been through several different modalities of healing around counseling and just finding support in working with PTSD and trauma from my own life, and also from being a practitioner and a healer, and the toll that takes. And I just have never seen a template like this. The benefit comes quickly and easily, and it doesn't have any connotation to the story that we like to hold. Although it's funny, I did bring the story in to this journey, because when we mature those parts of ourselves that are lost in the dark, the story becomes a healing story and not a looping story. And so tonight, I invite you to listen to what Betsy has to offer, because I have personally witnessed life-transforming tools that I now have access to, and can continue to do that work on my own or with Betsy if I choose. And I can also help my clients find their pathway home through the tool sets that I know about my own inner resources, because the light that was shined onto me through working through Betsy and her map for change. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Betsy Koos and allow her to explain and share her wisdom, as she is an elder and a wisdom keeper in these pathways of healing, somebody who has walked the alternative path for a very long time, and in the times when it was most hardest to walk, Betsy Koos. And thank you, Betsy, for all the healing and the transformation that you have given to me.
I see a lot of people who have been in other therapies, and they will come with a diagnosis and being on medication. And so a lot of what I like to do is really find out what's going on underlying, which is what we can work with, and really work with treating the problems and solving problems and not just treating symptoms.
Core transformation was really what I was seeking. I feel like very quickly in a handful of sessions, I was able to slough off things that I had carried around since my childhood. And Betsy, this I mean, really, this has changed my life. And then the beauty of that is that when you find the thing that works, you do the thing that works. And so with my clients now, I mean, even very rarely now do I do EMDR, because I get a better result with core transformation. They feel more peaceful. It's and then like 2 sessions later, it's like you're looking at yourself like, is this me now? Am I this person? Is this really happened? Is this gonna stick? And it's such
I
a glorious
know.
experience to like feel yourself change and to watch people change, and really to watch it happen with very minimal effort on anyone's part other than showing up and being willing to do the work.
And helping people access their own deeper inner resources. There's nothing we can give anybody. They have it all within, and this is such a beautiful way to find that.
Thank you, Betsy. Go ahead and unmute yourself, darling.
Sorry, now you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good, good. Well, thank you so much for that beautiful story and a beautiful introduction, and such a gift to be able to be here with you all tonight. I'm going to just share a little bit first, and then I'd love to hear who is here and what you would like to find from this. And then we've got a nice little video to show. So I appreciate what Tara already shared. I just want you to know that this has been my life's passion, to help people to reach their goals and really to live their full potential. And I'm going to share a little bit about kind of my journey with that. But I think if we could maybe begin with a little clip that will share with you a little bit about me and about a client that I worked with, her testimonial, and you'll see that she's a therapist. So when she refers to using it with other people, that's what she means. So it'll just be a minute or two, and then we'll come back together, and I'd like to meet you. So I'm going to go. Thanks.
I see a lot of people who have been in other therapies, and they will come with a diagnosis and being on medication. And so a lot is really find out what's going on underlying, which is what we can work with, and really work with treating the problem, just treating symptoms.
Core transformation was really what I was seeking. Very quickly, in a handful of sessions, I was able to slough off things that I had carried around since my child. I mean, really.
I'm sorry I had to stop that. For some reason, my Zoom ended on my end. I'm not sure if it ended for all of you. Did it?
No, but we couldn't hear you. Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. For whatever reason, playing that YouTube is messing with it. So
Oh.
you're amazing, and that woman had
Okay.
a life transforming experience.
Okay.
Also,
Okay. We won't play that. And again, I think they were sent out, right? Those little videos. So you all will have that if you haven't heard it.
yeah.
But she does talk about how helpful it was for her in a few sessions, and she's a therapist. So I see that all the time. And I'm just going to say briefly, and then I'd love to hear from you all, but that I have been in this field for really close to 50 years, which makes me really old, and really have worked with literally thousands of people with very serious diagnoses and problems, and And I really feel like, unfortunately, people don't come to therapy unless things get so bad. And it's really my passion now to be able to share this work with people whose lives are working okay. We all have stuff and things to work on, but really not to have to wait till we get to the bottom to be able to start creating ways to learn how to make our life better. So that's really my passion and what I want to share with you all. Can you see me when I'm talking and hear me okay? Everybody's seeing and hearing me okay?
Yeah. And I know that we have several people
Yes,
on
I
here
have
that,
us on.
yeah, they don't have their cameras on, but
Okay, but everybody can see me and I don't have to do anything.
nope, you're good.
I'm good. Okay. So, so I would love to hear a little bit about, yeah, I'll wait to say that. So just if you could just share your name and where you're from, if you're willing, and if there's anything that really drew you to this class, if there was something you were hoping to get from this. So we'll just kind of go around, and I don't know if there's an orderly way or everybody can just volunteer.
Yeah. Look, oh, I can see there's Kay and Lucia. I know Teresa's on here and Rochelle and Francesca. So if anybody wants to start, just go ahead and pop yourself off mute and share why you came and what drew you to this.
Nominate as tribute.
Hi.
Kicking in, and I'm like, cool, I got a few minutes before I have to flip it. Hi, my name is Lucia Lopez, and the reason why I am on this call is because I am Team Tara. So any opportunity I have to just share the wonderful existence called life with my sister, sign me up. So this and Betty, I feel like I've worked with you, and I think we've met before once upon a time. I'm not quite sure.
Yes, Lucia, you came to the drum retreat and Betsy owns the land.
That's right.
Okay, yeah, we got to meet.
Yes, you and your partner, beautiful. That will be forever a moment just etched into my heart space.
Oh, how wonderful that you were here. I'm so glad to hear that. It is a pretty special place, huh?
It is.
I'm a special person with Tara.
That's fun, and I love you all, and I'm gonna put myself back on mute and turn the camera off, but I'm here.
Oh, thank you. Good. I appreciate it. Glad to have you here.
Thanks, Lucia, so much, sister. We're always team Lucia as well. And Kay is popping on. Let's have her share.
Hi, I'm Kay. I'm from Denver. I'm friends with Tara. I met her through a jam one time, and she had her little space drum. So that's kind of how I know her and heard about the event. And she's always inviting me to these really cool events, and I always want to go, but I just never end up going. So I just figured I would check it out, and it sounded really interesting. Like just making positive changes and, getting your goals accomplished and all that. So
yeah, so glad to have you here, Kay.
All things I'm trying to work on. So
cool. Nice to have you here. Thank you. Okay.
So perfect, Kay. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. And Betsy's work is all about making positive change. It's really special. Teresa or Francesca, I see you are unmuted. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself first?
So I didn't realize. So Betsy, we went to your home for the drum retreat, right? Is that
yes, at our retreat in the dome.
Long one?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Hi.
Hi. I recognize you. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. And Tara, I was on the phone with Lucia, and Lucia's like, "Are you jumping on this call? Tara's doing this story," and I'm like, "Yeah." So here I am. So
thank you.
Thank you for having this, and what a wonderful circle to
It is. How great for us to connect wherever we are. Thank you for being here, everybody. All
So
right,
good to see your face,
Francesca.
Francesca. So
Mwah, mwah, mwah. I miss you, sister.
beautiful. I miss you. And Teresa, why don't you pop on, darling? Oh, what a beautiful circle
Hey.
you have.
So I briefly met Tara at an art exhibit that I went to with Lucia and Francesca. And yeah, I saw this event and I was just intrigued and wanting to spend some time. I'd at some point love to work with Tara, so just wanted to check it out. So thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you, Teresa. It's so good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, hopefully you'll come to the next drum retreat up here and you'll get to meet Betsy and we'll all complete this circle. That would be so fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I know. I can see that Rochelle is on here. Rochelle, are you able to pop on and introduce yourself? And Megan as well, if you are able to pop on. And then I have an iPhone here, but I cannot tell who it is.
Okay, we're
Yeah.
good. If anybody wants to say anything, we obviously have it set up that we'll have questions and answers at the end. I'm going to be sharing a little bit, and then I'm going to be guiding you into a little bit of an experience. And so I do, if you feel like you have questions along the way, so I will begin. So I want to begin with, of course, a million things at once. I am so happy to be here. I thank you so much, Tara, for helping set this up, and for all of you for being here. This really has been my passion for my life, and I want to be able to help people, as you've heard Tara say, access their inner resources, help them make their life work. And I was in the mental health system for many years, and it's so kind of hard to see how there's trillions of dollars spent and so much time and energy on doing things that I think are not useful. So I have this desire to be able to share what I've learned about how to make your life work. And I really basically have done the same thing over and over with clients, no matter whether they come in and they're mildly depressed or they're schizophrenic. And I have the same map that I just feel is so useful that I want to be able to share. It's really, I want to say that there's nothing wrong with people, and they get labeled and in these diagnoses and medicated, and it's very hard for me to see that, because I worked with people, all people, and helped them. And when we work in the right way, change is possible. To me, you know, I'm sure you've all heard the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. That's exactly what I see in the mental health system. And the idea is, so many people talk about their problem, and they talk about where it came from, and they think that if they could understand that would make a difference. And in reality, when you think about it, when you sit around and talk about problems, what is your experience? You're kind of miserable. So my goal in working with people is for them to feel better when they leave a session than they did when they came in. And so I'm what I call a solution-focused therapist. So the first thing that I ask people when they call, even to schedule for sessions, is, what is it that you want to have be different and better in your life? What is it that you hope to get from this work? And I say this is one of the most difficult questions that I ask people, because usually nobody's ever asked them that before. People are so busy focused on their problem and what's wrong and where it came from. And when you think about it, again, that's not a really pleasant place to be. So I say I could never have been a therapist working with thousands of people for 50 years if I had to sit and listen to problems all day. So I basically, my map for change is I like to hear a little bit about where people come from that doesn't work for them. And I'm going to explain a little bit of, I'm going to say the map first. Then I'll say more about that. Then really what's important is when you think about going on a trip, you kind of want to know where your destination is. So basically, we want to clarify the goal or where people want to get to. I say a lot of times I work with people and they say, I just don't want to be here. So if we think about it, I just don't want to be wherever you are. It's kind of hard to figure out where to go and how to get there. So I want to say that what I'm talking about, and I hope that you all can relate to this, relates to the fact this is patterns for all people. I go through all these things myself. We don't have to have a diagnosis. And I don't think most people would have a diagnosis if they didn't go to a doctor or a psychiatrist whose job it is to give them a diagnosis so that they can bill insurance. But then people kind of start believing that they are their diagnosis. And that's not the most useful place to live. So, so then a lot of the key of what I work with is, so let's say we're in a place where we maybe aren't feeling as good about ourselves as we want, or maybe being hard on ourselves or something, and we want to be in a place where we're feeling better, we're feeling more confident and self-assured. And so we want to clarify where we are, where we want to get to. And then so why don't people just go there? That's the thing. I mean, if it's something we want, we would just naturally gravitate toward that. Part of it is, I think, clarifying what we want first helps to guide us in the right direction. But then there's usually something that comes up within people that interferes with them being able to go where they want. So here I am, I don't feel, I'm feeling depressed. I want to be able to be happy and confident. So what is it that comes up that gets in the way? That's a lot of what I work with. That's what we call limiting parts or interfering experiences. And so I'm going to kind of share with you that for me, I've learned this wonderful process core transformation. One of the requirements was to do 100 core transformations on myself. And at first I thought, oh, that's going to be so hard. But then I'm up to 1,000 by now. So really we want to work with these parts. So really, I'm going to share again a little example for me of one of the things I worked on a lot is my tendency to worry. And so these are responses, things that we do like that are not logically and consciously generated. So it's like, I don't know if you all have, I'm going to ask you in a little moment to think of an experience of something that you have that's maybe uncomfortable, something you'd rather have choices about, but it happens anyway. So I don't know if anybody feels frustrated at all or worried is my big thing, or hard on themselves, or So if you can think of a little experience of something that you've had that that you do that you really would rather not, but you can't figure out how to do it differently. And I wish I could see if everybody could raise their hands. Can they? Can we see that? Yeah, good. You got one?
Yeah, and we can even, I'm just tapping mine into the chat if you have a moment, if you want to, I just put scarcity, that's something that comes up for me. And so if somebody wants to type into the chat, so
Okay.
Betsy can see, that'd be great.
Oh, and should I look at that chat thing or look at they're going to take their face?
If they do, I'll just share with you.
Oh, okay, that'd be great. Thank
Fear,
you.
worry, security, familiarity.
Yes.
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I didn't know I would get so many good examples. And really, I'm just going to ask you to hold that thought for just a moment, because a lot of the key to the map for change that I work with is exploring what are we already trying to do to deal with it. And isn't that a different question? It's really what I call, and if you look at my website, which that was listed on that video, so I hope that it's going to be some other place, because I'd like for you to check that out if you want. But people, I call it, I'm sorry, I'm back to on track of, I call it attempted solutions. And really, in the field of mental health, I believe that the attempted solution has been, in one form or another, to try to help people get rid of feelings, medicate them, or get over your anger, your fear. You work hard to get rid of it, kind of. I can't think of a better way to put that. Doesn't sound very professional, but that's what I think happens. And then I know, and this is something I'll teach more about. I'm trying not to get too complicated, but these are, like we said before, we're not logically and consciously deciding to feel fear or scarcity or worry or anything. It's not like that's a good idea to feel that. So then we know that it's an unconsciously generated response. And that is one of the biggest keys to everything. It took me forever to learn that. I was in all these trainings, this neurolinguistic programming that I'll share with you more later. And they always talked about it's about the unconscious. And I just had to figure it out. It's like, yeah, it's not a logically consciously generated response. So if we do something, and I'm sorry, it's there because it's a survival mechanism. It's trying to get a deeper inner need met based on when it was learned. So when we do things to try to take that away, what happens? Hold on tighter. That's what we, and as therapists, call resistance. But I will tell you, one of my great trainers, Richard Bandler, one of the developers of NLP, neurolinguistic programming, used to say, there is no such thing as a resistant client, only an inflexible therapist. So I learned that when I was a very baby young therapist, going, So I learned to do whatever I could to help people help themselves, and realized that it has nothing to do with the conscious mind. So sitting and talking about our problems we're never going to find the answer. We'll never figure out why. And even if we do, what good would it do? And that's really the question. When I ask people their goals, they say, I want to know why I'm depressed. It's like in our culture, we want to understand why things. And it's like, well, what would that do for you if you could? Well, I hope that it would help me resolve my problems. Well, if I could help you resolve your problems, even though you might not know why, is that okay? And they usually say yes. So, so I think that concept of what are we trying to do already to deal with our problem, might be a little difficult. I don't know if anybody has any guesses about that for themselves. So I mean, if you have one of the things that you talked about. Tara, you have an idea?
Yeah, I just want to say that I know that every time I ask for why, I get more of what I don't want.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? You just get to replay the old tapes of all that old garbage you don't need. No, and you never can figure it out. And it's, I mean, again, these are unconsciously generated responses. I don't even think people know they're doing that usually. And yeah, if you have any thoughts or questions, or I guess I would love to know if that concept makes sense, because really the other part of what I want to say about that is, which I may already have said, but that what we're trying to do to solve the problem is actually the very thing that's creating and perpetuating the problem. I worked as a specialist with eating disorders for many years in Grand Junction because nobody else wanted to work with that. It was a very hard population to work with. And I knew a little bit about it in my training in Chicago. And people just hold on to their experiences, and if anybody tries to take it away, they're holding on tighter. So really the attempted solution often was try to control your food, and all you're doing is thinking about food. It's like if we're on a diet, where do our thoughts go? It's like we're constantly focused on this obsession about calories and fat grams, and that's not a really good way to live life and deal with our food issues. So
Right. I know that every time that I feel like, oh my God, am I going to have enough? Am I going to have enough? And I keep thinking of all the ways that I am in lack,
yeah.
and then so then my focus stays in lack. And so as my focus stays in lack, so too does all of the things that I draw towards myself, right? Or in the same aspect, fear, worry, security. It's almost like, oh, I don't worry. I don't want to be in worry, but then I'm worried about worrying. And
Exactly.
so
And
it
that's the
grips
whole
tighter.
thing. And because I have worked with this so much with myself and with others, I know, again, these unconsciously generated responses were learned as deep survival mechanisms. So they want something very important. So the wonderful thing that we do with this process of core transformation developed by Connie Ray and Tamara Andreas in the early 90s, that I had the good fortune of studying with them all the way back then, and developed the trainers training and many, many hours of training and learning and doing this process, and learning that when we can work with these parts of ourselves and help them bring to us what they've been there wanting, people just describe that the old patterns just melt away. So it's like it's a way to help that part get its deeper inner needs met. And so this is a process that does that. And I always say to people that if you don't experience it, you will have no idea in the world what I'm talking about. So that's what I would love to guide you all a little bit. I'm going to share just a little bit of a map that will help you to be able to do this for yourself. and I can probably remember this. I was going to share what I did for myself with the the example of my worry, so that it'll kind of give you an idea of how this goes. So this is going to be, again, you won't really understand it fully, but I'm just going to say, if I may, something I feel like it's, and when I do trainings with people, which I've done many of, I always like to say something else that Richard Bandler said to us, which is, confusion is the best state of learning. And what that means is, don't try to put this into your old maps of things, to your old boxes of what you know. It's, oh, this is like this. And I always say that at the beginning of the class, and then in the class, somebody always says, oh, it's just like this. No, it isn't. It's like what it is, and it's something. So you just kind of want to open your mind, which looks like you're all there and willing. And when I met you, that you would be willing to do this. And just allow yourself to follow along first with my little example, and then I'm going to guide you through a little bit of a process, and we'll see if you get a sense of what I'm talking about. The other one thing I'm going to say first, which is, to me, therapy isn't about, and change isn't about understanding anything. We can understand things. People have been in psychoanalysis for 20 years, and they know everything about where their problems came from, but they aren't any different. And I know it's got its place, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to anything or anybody. I know people are out there trying to do their best, but in my perception, the thing that makes a difference is being in a different internal state. That's, to me, the basis of change. That's what I want to help people be able to experience, so that we don't just have to keep coming from the same experiences and try to figure out how to do something different. Because when we change within, everything changes. And I think we all probably have a little bit of that knowledge and wisdom and belief of what we experience is what we manifest, what we believe is what we create. So it's really a way to really have choices without effort in our patterns that we don't want, but we know are here trying to serve a purpose and meet a need. So I'm just going to share with you a little bit about the example of I think for me, I like core transformation because you can do it once and it usually will generalize, but I've definitely had to do it many times with worry. There's different forms of worry that come up for me. But every time I work with it, it always wants something wonderful. There's always, I call it going on a treasure hunt. There's always a deeper underlying gift and treasure of what this part has wanted. So can I ask if anybody's a little on track or totally off, or if anybody has any questions at this point? Or I'll just kind of keep going and help you guide you into the experience.
I think everybody is just settling in and listening. And I will
Nice.
just say that I feel very much on track, that it makes total sense to me that healing doesn't make sense. And that on some level, when we are trying to understand it, it almost keeps the pattern repeating. And when that pattern continues to repeat, figuring out why is not necessarily our go-to, but understanding that if we go into that space, it has something to offer us, and that's why it keeps coming up, right?
Yes.
And that
It
even
wants
that
something
the
very
healing-
important.
Yeah, the healing happens, but it doesn't quite make sense how you got there. And it may not be what you thought it was going to be, that it just sort of unfolds, and it's a bit of a surrender into. And so Francesca says, do we need to choose something to focus on for changing and healing? So first off, I know Betsy's going to do an example on worry, and then Betsy, do they need to choose their own?
Right,
focus,
right.
Right?
And I'll guide you into that. Mhm.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Thank
So we're
you.
on track, I think.
Thank you. Good. I like that. Yeah. So I will say, so in the experience, we want to begin by really appreciating the fact that the part is here based on when it was learned as an adaptive mechanism. And again, it's so clear to me that when we go through our development, if we don't get what we need and want from outside of us, we learn how to adapt in a way to try to do things and be ways to get that deeper inner need met. So that's when these patterns have been developed that we keep living with. They're unconscious, they're not logical and rational. They do what they do. If it doesn't work, they do more of it. So this is what I call getting stuck in our rut or running in our hamster wheel, going faster, getting nowhere, but we keep doing it, expecting different results. So that's where, so this part, so we want to welcome it, and we want to go within into the experience of that worry, notice where that is and how that is, and ask the part through generating this response of worry. What do you, this part of me, want? Oh, I want to make sure everything's going to be okay. I want to make sure that we're prepared and it's all on track. And so that's so that's my answer from within. And it's like, I never thought that. It's just, I ask the part and the answer comes up. And it's a wonderful way to go within and communicate with our parts and allow them to bring to us what they've always wanted. And as I say, I've worked with thousands of people. I've worked with people at the mental health center that you would think never would think of being willing and able to do this, but you guide them within. They communicate with their part. Their part always has an answer. So that to me is pretty wonderful. So the answer is a good thing. But again, what we were saying before is having the inner state is the best. So then we invite the part to step into what it's like to already have that feeling that everything's handled. It's all okay. It's all all right. And I get to have that feeling. Then when I have that, I ask the part, what then do you want? What more comes through having that? That's even more important. And I said, oh, when I have that, then I'll feel a sense of being able to relax and a sense of ease. So I invite the part to step into what it's like to have that. When I have that, ask then through having that, what then does that bring to me through that? A sense of well-being. So we invite the part to step into what it's like, and you can kind of go along with it too. And that's what I love about this work is the more that I go into it with my clients, the deeper it is for them. So that's what I've been told, and I love to believe that because that's what I get to do in my therapy sessions, go into these states of being and go into this, what would it be? And it's like, it's not what we think it would be, it's just what it is, just a sense of well-being, what this part has wanted, and inviting that experience to have that. And to notice when I already have that, is there anything more through having that part wants that's even more important? And then there's really nothing more. Just want to be in that sense of well-being. Then we take it back up through, we might do that or we might not. That's kind of hard to do with a group, but we can see. But then we say, okay, recognizing this is a younger part that learned this response to try to get this sense of well-being. Really, the only way to have this sense of well-being is to just step into it and have it now. So as you invite the parts, and then we take it back up through, as you already have the sense of well-being, notice how that radiates through and helps you to relax and be at ease. How already having that sense of well-being, the words I wrote here was, when I have that feeling, that sense of well-being, it helps me feel prepared, in control, the way I want. When I already have the sense of well-being, how that radiates through and begins to transform the part that used to generate that response of worry. When you already have well-being, worry is just kind of already transforming. Anybody get that? So that's where we guide into the experiences, which is the very thing that speaks to the unconscious mind. Words don't speak to the unconscious mind, experience does. When it has the sense of experience of well-being, it speaks to our cellular memory. It speaks to our core. It doesn't speak. It is within us, and it well, I guess communicates is about the best word I can think of. So that's kind of how it works. And that gives you a little bit of a sense of, and then it goes much further and deeper, but that's kind of the concept that I really wanted to be able to convey. And like I was saying, the only way to get that is through experience. So that's where, if you can all think of something like, and I will say for a little demonstrations, the experience thing, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being very minimal and 10 being very big, I always say pick something between about a 1, 2, 3, little one, because you want to have an experience of it. You can't have it if just through a thought. It's like, if I thought this, then what would that part want? It's really, so you have to, this is a treasure hunt. You have to start where the first clue is to find the next clue, and you have to go to the next clue to find the next clue until you get to the treasure.
I just want to say, Betsy, that one thing that helps in our sessions that you do is ask me to feel into a moment in time that I had felt that particular emotion. So then it really does conjure it up. I am actually experiencing that
You got it.
emotion
You
in
got
me.
it. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And then as soon as, and that's what I will do, because that's the very thing. And you got it, because you can't just think about, I wonder if I were there, how it would feel and what that part would want, because you'll never find the answer, right? So good. Thank you. So these moving on. So I guess anybody who would like to experience this, it would be useful to have a little unwanted experience of, I remember when I first did this, I remember having had an irritation with my secretary that day, and it was something that I could recall, and I could feel the feelings. And I'm going to say, as a therapist, of course, I don't want to guide people back into their unwanted feelings, but I think if we can transform it and you never have to feel it again, would it be worth doing it for a second or two? So that's kind of why we do that, because that's the only way to have the experience. So I'm going to just trust that everybody has one. And if you want me to see what's going on, you can be present. And if not, you're welcome to go, be where you are and do it on your own. And maybe at any point that you want along the way, ask questions. But now let's just kind of recognize that you have an experience that you're thinking of something that you felt that maybe isn't as positive as you'd like, that you can just recall that time and experience, or a time and experience, when you had that feeling before. And that's where you want to recall just one specific time. It's kind of like everyone is a piece of the hologram, but you want to get into one particular experience so that you can have this experience. So recalling that time again now, when you had that feeling. And imagine as though you could drift fully now back into this time and experience. Fully again now. And just being here, seeing where you are, what's around you, hearing sounds around you, noticing your internal thoughts and feelings, what you might see in your mind's eye, you might be saying to yourself in your internal dialogue, and the feelings that you experience both in and or around your body. And you just might notice, since you didn't consciously and intentionally generate this response, it's as though it's generated by another part of you. Notice, where do you feel this part, so to speak, lives in or around your body now? And you can just notice that. Can maybe put your hand there, maybe just kind of note. And it's really a way to know that you are in the experience, is that you'll have a feeling of it. Good, excellent, very good. And now we'd like to begin, even though we don't know yet what this part has been here trying to do for you, by already thanking and appreciating the part at the level for which it's been learned to try to serve a deeper underlying purpose and positive intention. At that level, welcoming this part. Parts are more open to communicating with us when we're welcoming of them, and go within and ask the part, through generating this response, what do you, this part of me, want? And now this is the time to just be really aware, quieting the conscious mind. It'll want to step in, but it really doesn't know. And just going within and allowing the answer to emerge from within, from the part that does know. So you go within and you ask the part, what do you want? What have you been here trying to do for me? And you can notice if you get any kind of an answer back. And it might come in words, or just a sense of a feeling of something. And then we like to thank the part for its response, and invite the part to step into what it's like to already have what it's wanted. To allow the experience to come forth from within as this part has wanted. Allowing a sense of that experience. And again, this is something we don't often know how to do or even believe is possible, so it's not coming from the conscious mind. It's coming from within. This part has expressed what it's wanted, and so we're going into the experience of that with the concept, but we want it as an experience, and that part does know what it's wanted, does it not? So allowing the experience of what it is to have that. And then notice when you have that, what does that bring to you through that? It's even more important. And we're just going to kind of see if there's any answers that come up for you all. If there's any sense of that. And when I do a class, and I do this with people, we either work as partners or I ask you to have something to write it down, which You can, but you don't need to, because you're going to stay within and stay noticing if that part, ask the part through already having that. What does that bring through that? That's even more important. And if you get an answer, you can thank the part for its response and invite the part to step into what it's like to already have that. Yeah, and you can just be with that experience and know that it's there to come back to in a moment, as I'll ask you just to come back for a moment to the room, to the wherever you are. And just to kind of help me get a sense of where you are. Is people having an experience, doing well. You know, it's yeah, doing good. You get a sense of the experience. Did you get a second one? Did you get the second layer? Cool. All right. Good. Nice.
Kay, do
Go
you
ahead.
want to share anything or?
I don't want to go into much detail, but it's tough work to do that. To imagine the problem being solved and imagine like how you would feel. I mean, it feels good, but it's tough. It's tough to do that.
No, okay. Now I think I appreciate you saying this, and remind me your name is
Kay.
Kay. So really, did you have a part that you wanted to work on?
Yeah.
Would you mind saying it in one word? I don't want to know any content. Was it anger, fear, worry? Was there an experience?
I don't really want to share.
Oh, you don't have to say. Okay. So really what I was going to say when we were initially talking about the problem, you know, and I didn't finish saying that it's really, so for instance, if somebody comes in to me and says, I'm depressed, I say, what's really going on? I can't work with depressed. That means something different to everybody. So I want to know what's going on inside that's creating that. So a lot of times people tell me, oh, I'm telling myself I'm never good enough, you know, kind of thing. So that's like, to me, that's the part that we can work with. And I say, this is a part, you can't just get rid of it, like we were talking about. So you want to work with it to say, this is an early learned response of this is oftentimes what you see parents do with kids, you know, you're not good enough kind of message. It's like, where do you get that message? So you ask that part through that, what do this part of me want? I want to feel safe, maybe. I want to feel protected. I want to feel, so really, I just want you to know that I don't want you to feel like you have to do anything to try to get to your goal thing. Like I said, that's the map. That's for me. I want to make sure when I'm working with people that I'm helping them make progress on their destination to get where they want to be. And so these are processes that I do, that we work with, that we help transform these parts and patterns naturally and easily. And to me, really, and I just want you to see if that's, you know, you can recognize that it's a very gentle process of working with these parts, of honoring and embracing them. And again, I know how difficult it is to get this concept. It's like where we like this part of us that we don't like and we don't want. We want to work with it. But it's, again, it's really, in my example of the worry, of course, I don't want to worry, but if I can, and I can't get rid of worry, but when I can recognize that it's trying to help me feel in control, to be at ease, to feel a sense of well-being, then it can bring that to me. So if that, yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
understanding the process. Sometimes it's difficult to deal with these things. So
Oh, I know. I know. And I just want to see if, because it's really, this is the second Zoom class that I've done with this, and I I think it worked well before, and but it's challenging. It's a hard thing to really grasp that these parts of us, I mean, to really go within and have the experience of recognizing this part was here to try to serve a purpose and meet a need, that we want to work with it, help it bring to us what it's wanted. So
Yeah, I think it's a lot about trusting what occurs. And that's what it's it can be difficult to go into the experience, for one, to even relive something that you don't want to even be feeling.
which is why it's supposed to be small. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to bring that experience into the body. And then to not try to control what's coming through. It's more about trusting what comes up, what arises from that experience. To me, it's like a voice, a little voice that is very neutral and doesn't have an attachment either way.
And it really is that process of quieting the mind and going within. And that's, I think, I don't know if people have meditation practices, if that's something for a lot of people in our culture, that's something that's so new and different. And so, I mean, it has to be really quieting this, listening within and noticing what comes back. And I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts, experiences. And Tara, it seemed like you were kind of going through a little bit. Would you be willing to share your?
Yeah, actually, because we have done this process so many times, it actually becomes a lot faster.
Yeah. It's now to quiet the mind, you listen within, yeah.
And you get to kind of cut the story out of it once the tool becomes a heightened sense within. And so for me, what came up was something that I felt like I was going through today with a friend, and the way that it sort of came out just made me feel small. And so I sat with that part of smallness, and then what arose in me was just this voice that was like, oh, I'm just reminding you that you're already whole, that you're already exactly as you need to be. And I allowed that small part of me to really feel that little voice, what it was saying, to really feel it and to encompass that and to arrive.
So okay, good. Can I ask, so was that the answer to the question, what do you want?
Yeah, it was just like when I felt small, it made me feel like I wasn't enough. Right. And so what arose was just this sense of that I'm already whole. And I was able to allow that small part of me to really feel what it was like to feel all complete and whole and enough.
Okay, great. Thank you. Very nice. Yeah. And that experience of that. And again, we didn't go very far with it, but really just to begin with, when that small part can feel that more wholeness, then that's, to me, that's what creates the possibility of change.
Absolutely. And then Betsy, you go further with this in your practice, where we actually journey and travel into past parts that have felt it, and then travel into future parts to where we may feel it. And so we kind of prepare ourselves, right, in scenarios that,
well, and really in the piece that I think you're talking about is, well, yeah, you take your new resources to the past and to the future. And also when we get to this core state, like I said, the sense of well-being, what the next step I would do would be to identify at what age did I learn this, nobody consciously learns this, develop this sense of worry. And usually a younger age comes up, and probably usually before the age of 6. So I think for me, 3 or so. And then we take the core state back to that younger part. So take that part, that sense of well-being, and allow that to, that part to take that in, so if that younger self could have had that. So it really does change things neurologically when we do things like that.
Yeah, and it also expresses how unlinear time is, because when we can at this place heal now, we actually are healing ourselves in the past as well.
Mhm. And certainly the future.
Yay.
So, so that's a little bit of the concepts that I wanted to share. And I think to me, the thing, if you take nothing else from this, to realize that when you have experiences of things going on inside that you don't like, I think the more we can honor them and embrace them, befriend these parts of ourselves and work with them, however much we go into this process of helping them bring to us what they've wanted and experienced, which again is such a beautiful process that I'm so grateful to have learned, the more that we can have the experience of working with parts of ourselves. And to me, that's really the basis of self-acceptance, instead of fighting with parts of ourselves and feeling like they're bad and we don't want them and we have to get rid of them. To work with them is important. So
Absolutely. And I just want to invite Teresa, Francesca, I know Lucia, you're still on, I know you're doing things, Rochelle and Meg, if you want to pop on and share anything about your experience, that would be so lovely. And thank you, Kay, for sitting and sharing,
yes,
going through the experience.
I think I used a problem that was too big, so that was my that was that was where I was getting stuck on.
yes, it sounded like it. I know. I could only say so many times, no, don't do that. No, pick a little one to start with, really,
Well,
really, so that you can have the experience. Because once, like Tara said, once you have the experience, then you've created this very new pathway into the gifts that we have within us. It's like the experience that these parts always have wanted something wonderful, and they always bring that to us. And I've worked with people, like I said, that they started with, they wanted to die. That's a pretty scary one to work with. And when I'm the therapist, then they can work with big parts, but not when you're just learning it. But it's like that part, then that part wants, ultimately it wanted peace. I just want to say that in my many years of being a therapist, working with some of the most severe cases, I've never had anybody suicide. And that's kind of an unusual thing. So
really
I think just working with parts is such an important thing, whatever they are. So, but start small. Thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I
Yes,
just want to say that that's really unusual with most therapists. I have many therapist friends that I have, that's one of the biggest struggles. And this too is quite an ancient teaching. And I just want to restate here, Betsy, you put it that, we're addressing a small issue here on Zoom because this is a collective group and we want to get the concept, but it is very much geared to working with larger parts of ourselves that have been deep in PTSD and other places and looping in that, because the healing doesn't have to make sense. It is a process of getting us to trust what is being said to us versus the story that we keep perpetuating. and does work
Thank you.
with amazing life transformational effects, because and in all the work that I have done with myself, just no matter what, we still come to these places where the PTSD can come back, and we don't understand why. And this does give us a map where we can slow down, we can have the experience, we can ask the experience what it wants, what it needs. We can then receive the wisdom and allow it to have that experience of the wisdom, and receive the wisdom as well. And doesn't seem to come back, which is so great.
Yeah, that's the other thing that's important to me, is to get results. And that's the thing about the map is, are we getting off square one? Are we getting anywhere closer to where we want to go? This is a life process to get where we want. You don't have to be in therapy that long, but that's the thing I think we haven't had in therapy much, is in psychology, is measuring results and making sure people are achieving their goals, because that's what they come for. That's what's important.
And Betsy does Zoom sessions with people all over the country, and
Yeah.
hopefully the world. I think maybe even some people in Australia. And what I have seen with the people that she has worked with, it's just, yes, just, you uncover the layers, but you don't come back and revisit the specific things that you come to work with. And again, just the fact that you've had no suicides is huge. It's such a hard place to be. And as far as therapists go, it's such a big
Oh,
effect
horrible.
on the therapists themselves, because it's such a hard thing. So
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing, Betsy. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. So I just want to say, if we're talking about future things, that, as I was saying before, really what I want to do is find a way to help work with a lot of people and together at once. I really would love to be able to create Zoom classes in a way that's going to be, to me, it's never about talking about your problems. Like I said, I don't want to hear them. I listen a little bit because I know people want to tell me, but it's like, no, that's not useful. Let's figure out where we want to go and how to help you get there. But I want to be able to do this. So at this point, I think we're putting out some information about, I'm going to start with a 3-session workshop. I think I can give people enough of pieces of an experience to help. And then I think you said this, Tara, that it's really about helping you have skills and tools of how to make your life work in an ongoing way. I do not want people to be dependent on me or keep coming to therapy. I want to teach. I don't think of it in any other way than teaching skills and tools to help you make your life work. And I feel like I've got some very good ones that I would love to share. So that's going to be something that will be coming up. So I'm certainly available for individual sessions. I'm certainly available. I want to encourage people to be willing, either if you have time and want to do that after this, after we're off recording, I think we'll not record that, of course. And then we can talk a little bit now, or if you want to contact me for a 15-minute free consultation. I think people get a lot out of that. I help kind of clarify some things and help you get a direction. So that's kind of that. And then, like you said, my website's up there, and if people want to take a look at that. And right now, I'm just going to say 2 more things. That was written in a way that I wrote an article every week. So there's not really a great order. We try to restructure them, but I'm working on writing a map for change workbook that's going to be a little more cohesive and easy to follow. But I always think it's going to be hard to convey everything without doing some things in person and in experience. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and I posted your website link in the chats a couple
Okay.
times and
thanks.
narrated a little bit about the parts and pieces. And I will just say that this, it's so cool that you've been through so many of this on your own. It just so resonates with me, makes me think of the Buddhist monks going through the chud work, which is not so different. It's a beautiful process of looking within and allowing the maturation of these parts and pieces. Betsy, like you said, you're offering a 3-session coming up, three session
Series of
offerings. And you can work with her individually and or get a group going. Is it a group that you got going?
well, that's going to be the 3 sessions
Right.
right now. And I'm going to say that what I usually do when I set up classes is I get a number of people who are interested, and then I try to figure out how to schedule it in a way that works best for everybody. It's kind of, maybe sometimes I could do it the other way, but I want people to be able to attend who are interested. So I think that's been working for me. So that's kind of where it doesn't have any dates yet, but we'll work with making sure you can attend.
Yeah, and I'll repost in the event. And then also, I know that you have a podcast coming up. You want to talk a little bit about that real quick?
I would love to talk about that. So this is a podcast. It's going to be next Friday, the 27th at 10, and it's going to be streamed on YouTube. So you can see it on that at other times besides then, because I keep seeing Tamara coming up with her interview that she did last week. So this is Tamara Andreas, who she and her sister Connie Ray are the people who developed the core transformation process and are international NLP trainers. And Tamara's going to interview me because she wants me to share with other therapists about this work. So they do lots of core transformation trainings. They have coretransformation.org. You might want to look up ever and find out more about what they're doing. But they've gathered, they're inviting therapists. And to me, it's so wonderful that I can work with therapists who could be open to wanting to learn this kind of work, because I've had so much difficulty with some of the kind of therapies that are out there that are so detrimental to people, I think, not useful.
Yeah, and you've been through it, Betsy. You have been through amazing journey in the early 70s until now, and trying to find alternative therapies at that time was not an easy feat.
Oh, yeah. So are you talking about my personal,
just your personal life experience?
Yeah. I think what you're referring to is, I certainly had my experiences of learning to come into this kind of work. And then I had my own personal experience with an accident in which I lost my fiance and broke most bones in my body and was on my search for healing. So in many ways, and this was wonderful, wonderful work for me for that.
Wonderful.
So
Yeah, so I will post all that in the event and share it. I wonder if anybody, I know Rochelle popped on and popped off. If anybody has any questions for Betsy, that would be
do we want to tape this? Do we want to record this? We can. Are people comfortable with that? I would like people to feel comfortable in talking.
Yeah,
and you can let us know.
Like Lucia has popped up. Lucia, do you have something to share? No, okay. I feel like everybody's just been in witness of your beautiful work, Betsy. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I just adore you. I'm so grateful for the work that we have done in my life. And for the work that you do as a caretaker, a landholder, a facilitator, a space healer, and all the people that you care for in your community, both locally and as you expand on the internet and the Zoom. It's really special to me to be able to spotlight my elders, is a big deal for me. So thank you, each one of you.
Thank
for coming in.
you. Thank you
Yeah.
all for being here, and please do feel free to contact me. And if you have my phone number on there.
I will
Yeah.
post your phone number on there.
Okay.
And,
And if you just want to call in, talk, and if you want to give me any feedback about if this made any sense, or if there was anything useful, or you have any more questions, or I would love to hear. So
yeah, it'd be great if everybody just popped on for 1 second and just gave one little word for the closing. That would be so lovely. We'll start with Kay, if you're there.
Thank
Mm.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
I loved it.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for showing up, Kay. Lucia, do you want to pop on? Just share one word, darling.
I have an audience. So there was more
Uh,
and receiving this medicine. So thank you for holding this space, and thank you for both of you and all the people that showed up on the call. Thank you all for showing up for yourselves. Good job, team.
Thank you, Lucia, for sharing.
Nice to
and
have you.
providing.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Teresa, you're next in line, darling.
Yeah, thank you guys very much, both of you, for facilitating this. It was fascinating work, and I look forward to seeing more of what you're doing in the future, Betsy.
Oh,
Thank you.
nice. Thank you. And thank you, puppy doggy, too. Oh, look at you, sweetheart. You stayed for the whole thing, huh? Is that your lover dog? Look at you. That's so great. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is great. Okay.
Francesca, looks like you're unmuted. Do you want to share?
Sure. Well, I also want to thank both of you so much. And then Betsy, it is almost unfathomable that your choice of healing is worry, because you come across as so calm.
I did a core transformation just before our class. See how that works?
Yes,
I
yes.
always like to do one before I teach because it
Okay.
helps me get into a good inner state. So yeah, I had worry before, but then I have a sense of well-being, and I take it all the way through my whole life and body, and it's a wonderful thing. So I'm a good example of how this works.
Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you are very comforting. Your energy is just so
Mm.
comforting. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. What a sweet thing. Thank you.
Francesca, so
Thank you. This was so lovely. I just appreciate this and being with you all. And
And we
this
have
is
Rochelle.
great.
I don't know if she'll pop on real quick to say something.
Got one more page.
Just give her one last moment to see if she will. And no, we'll just let's just close the circle. And do you want to lead us in that closing, Betsy?
I'm so sorry. You said what?
We're
Do
going to
I-
close the circle, darling. Would you like to lead us in that closing?
Oh. I want to share my gratitude for this beautiful opportunity to be together and to share at the level that is so beautiful and healing of our spirits and our connection. And with great gratitude, I close the circle.
Mm, thank you. Thank you to each one of you for showing up and being in support and for sharing and for doing your own core transformation work. Thank you very much. Thank you, Betsy.
Okay, thanks, darling. Bye-bye.
Okay, goodbye, everyone.